a short holiday trip that turned into a nightmare after they arrived in a mysterious town no longer inhabited by anyone. The movie begins by showing a family driving through a desert area. Suddenly during their journey, they accidentally hit a deer that crosses the road. Because of the incident, they are forced to pull over for a while to check the condition of their car. While inspecting the vehicle, their pet dog suddenly howls in pain from behind the bushes. Worried, the husband quickly goes to check on the dog. Shockingly, the dog reappears in a horrifying condition. Not only the dog, but the husband is also found brutally attacked by something, and that is when the film truly begins. The scene then shifts to a man named Trip, who visits the apartment of one of his acquaintances, Radford, to buy illegal drugs. Trip gives Radford some money for the transaction. When Radford goes to get the change, Trip uses the opportunity to steal all of Radford's drugs, hidden in a drawer. Radford remains unaware that Trip has stolen everything from him. To avoid suspicion, Trip immediately leaves the place. He then goes to meet his friends, as he had made plans with them to take a vacation in a remote town. That was one of the reasons Trip stole Radford's drugs, so they could have fun together. Trip's friends include Nelson, Nelson's girlfriend Cookie, Gretchen, who owns the car, and Jack, a blind man. Even though Jack cannot see, his hearing is incredibly sharp. Since Trip has just met Jack, he doesn't believe that Jack is truly blind. Feeling hungry, they all decide to stop at a cafe.
Sorry about Trip. We're in the same frat. That's it.
Oh yeah, I did. Never leave me alone.
Coincidentally, Jack needs to use the restroom, and Trip mischievously guides him to the women's restroom. This act angers Cookie, who scolds Trip for treating Jack that way. From then on, Trip finally believes that Jack really is blind. While choosing food from the menu, Trip suddenly receives a phone call from Radford himself. Radford furiously scolds Trip for daring to steal all of his drugs. He warns that if Trip does not return them, he will hunt Trip down and kill him on the spot. Radford then orders Trip to meet him in the Area 52 region within 2 hours, threatening that if Trip is late, he will be killed. This terrifying threat leaves Trip shaken. However, he chooses not to tell his friends about the theft. After finishing their lunch, Trip, Nelson, Cookie, Jack, and Gretchen continue their journey to the remote town where they planned a vacation. Along the way, they chat with each other until Trip eventually confesses that he is carrying a large quantity of drugs. His statement shocks and frightens Gretchen, who fears that if the police catch them with such a large stash, they could easily be mistaken for drug couriers and arrested. Because of this, Gretchen demands that Trip get out of the car and find another ride. Unfortunately, when Trip checks his phone, he discovers that there is no signal at all. While they are pulled over, Cookie excuses herself to go behind the bushes to relieve herself. Suddenly, a powerful tremor shakes the ground, leaving them all stunned and confused.
Did you feel that?
They try to think positively, assuming it was just an ordinary earthquake. Trip then begs Gretchen to let him stay with them, but Gretchen firmly refuses. Feeling a bit sorry for him, Gretchen eventually decides to at least drive Trip back to the cafe where they had eaten earlier so he could more easily find a ride. On the way, they accidentally come across a car that has been in an accident. At first, they want to call 911, but unfortunately, none of their phones have a signal. Eventually, they arrive at the cafe, and Gretchen tells Trip to get out of the car.
The oldies doesn't work for you?
Music is the accompaniment.
Spot.
Don't do this. I vote we vote.
Just as they are about to drive away and leave him, Gretchen's car suddenly breaks down. Since Trip is the only one who knows how to fix cars, Gretchen has no choice but to ask for his help. It turns out that the fuel line is leaking, causing the gas tank to run completely dry. Trip tries to repair it and manages to patch the leak with whatever tools he can find.
Possibly, if I knew what that meant.
All fixed.
After finishing the repair, Gretchen apologizes to Trip for her harsh attitude. Although the leak is fixed, they still need to find gasoline to get the car running again. That's when they realize Jack is missing. They start calling out his name until Jack finally comes out from inside the cafe. Being blind, Jack is puzzled as to why he didn't hear any noise from within the cafe. He immediately urges them to check inside. Sure enough, what was once a busy cafe full of people is now eerily empty. No one is there anymore. They call out several times, but no one responds. All the food and drinks are left behind as if abandoned in a rush. Even all the electronic devices, from the TV to the phone and others, are completely useless. The only way to find out what happened is by using the radio transmitter. Through the static, they catch fragments of a message saying that the area has been shut down for some reason. Since night is approaching, they decide to stay at a nearby motel. Later, Tripp asks Cookie and Gretchen for permission to go out and search for gasoline in the area. While waiting for Tripp to return with fuel, Cookie and Gretchen decide to prepare food for everyone. But suddenly, Cookie notices a dark shadow inside the cafe. Because of this, she and her boyfriend Nelson immediately go in to find out who or what the shadow belongs to. However, after wandering around for a while, they fail to find anyone. Caught up in the moment, they end up having sex. Meanwhile, elsewhere, Tripp finally finds a public phone that he hopes can be used to call for help. Unfortunately, the phone doesn't work at all. Just as Tripp is about to leave, he accidentally spots Radford rummaging through the trunk of his car. Tripp tries to ask him for help, but instead Radford attempts to kill him with tools he pulls from the trunk. Radford is clearly furious over Tripp stealing all his drugs. Not wanting to be killed, Tripp chooses to escape using his skateboard. On his way, Tripp crosses paths with a driver named Henry, who is searching for his wife who mysteriously disappeared. Seeing Tripp alone in the desert, Henry offers him a ride, which Tripp gladly accepts. Tripp tells Henry that his friends are waiting at a cafe not far from there. Hearing this, Henry drives over to pick them up. When they arrive at the cafe, Tripp only finds Jack and Gretchen, while Nelson and Cookie are still having sex. Since it's already dark, they all agree to continue their trip the next morning. Henry decides to sleep in the car while Tripp goes to look for Nelson and Cookie. As Henry is about to fall asleep, an invisible creature suddenly appears and strangles him to death on the spot. Meanwhile, while searching for Nelson and Cookie, Tripp hears faint noises coming from a dumpster. When he checks, he's shocked to see a man whose body has been split in half. At first, Tripp is confused about what is happening, but he convinces himself that maybe he is just imagining things. Quietly, he then steals some of Henry's gasoline so that he can refuel Gretchen's car, which had previously run dry due to the leak. After successfully taking Henry's gas, Tripp tries to find a signal to call for help, but suddenly he is attacked by the same creature that had killed Henry. On the other side, after finishing having sex, Cookie excuses herself to go to the bathroom. But once she gets there, she is suddenly attacked by the mysterious creature and killed. Nelson, waiting in the motel room, grows concerned when Cookie never returns. He searches around for her but cannot find her anywhere. Eventually, Nelson decides to stay inside the motel room, but there he is, ambushed by the creature and killed after being stabbed with a shard of glass. Now, only Gretchen and Jack remain alive. Gretchen urges Jack to help search for the others by walking around the area, but they can't find anyone. They then check on Henry, who had been sleeping in his car. At first, Gretchen thinks Henry is simply asleep, but when she checks his pulse, she realizes he is dead. Both of them are left confused about what is happening. Gretchen then tells Jack to stay inside the car while she looks for a weapon to protect them. Shortly after Gretchen leaves, Jack hears a loud noise outside the car. Curious, he decides to follow the sound. Since he cannot see, he ties a long thread to the car so he doesn't lose his way. He walks carefully, but eventually the noise disappears. Suddenly, a terrifying creature appears and attacks him, causing Jack to scream in terror. Gretchen, who has just found a weapon, hears his cries. Luckily, before the creature can kill Jack, Tripp arrives just in time and drives it away. Tripp has somehow survived the previous attack, though his arm has been badly injured. He takes Jack and Gretchen to hide in a safe spot. However, the creature doesn't let them escape so easily. It swiftly kills Tripp. Witnessing Tripp's death, Gretchen urges Jack to escape with her using Henry's car. Unfortunately, the vehicle won't start. Left with no choice, Gretchen decides they must fight the creature. Although she knows it's nearly impossible, they have no other option but to give it their all. Because the creature moves incredibly fast, Gretchen struggles to land a shot. Eventually, the creature strikes Jack in the head, but instead of killing him, the impact miraculously restores his sight. Thanks to their teamwork, they manage to drive the creature away. Jack, however, faints from exhaustion. Gretchen then searches for the gasoline that Tripp had stolen earlier, fills up her car, and quickly floors the gas pedal to escape. But the creature refuses to let her go, and a fierce battle erupts between Gretchen and the monster. After managing to hit the creature with her car, Gretchen drives away from the scene. At first, she thinks the monster has finally been killed, but to her shock, it suddenly comes back to life and startles her, causing the car to crash badly. Surprisingly, Radford shows up and saves Gretchen by giving her mouth-to-mouth resuscitation. In the end, Gretchen survives. Not only her, Jack also manages to be saved. Radford quickly calls for help so Gretchen and Jack can receive medical attention. The police handling the accident discover 4 victims dead at the scene: Tripp, Nelson, Cookie, and Henry. Then, a shocking truth is revealed. When they had pulled over earlier to look for a signal, Henry's car had actually crashed into Gretchen's. The tremor they felt was not an earthquake, but the impact of that collision. Henry's wife, Rose, tells the authorities that Henry suffered a heart attack and lost control of the car, slamming into Gretchen's vehicle and killing Tripp, Nelson, and Cookie. The overturned car they had seen earlier was in fact their own, but they didn't realize it because the crash happened so suddenly. Every death they experienced at the motel was actually a reflection of how they truly died in the accident. For example, Cookie died from internal bleeding, Nelson died from being pierced by shattered glass, and Tripp bled out from his severed arm. Gretchen survived because she was wearing her seatbelt, while Jack only suffered a head injury but remained alive in the car. Radford, who had been following them to reclaim the drugs stolen by Tripp, witnessed the crash firsthand. From the beginning of their journey, Radford had been tailing them, and when the accident occurred, he became the direct witness. Immediately after, Radford called the authorities so the survivors, Gretchen, Jack, and Rose, could receive medical help. In short, everything that happened at the motel took place in the spiritual realm. When the crash killed them, their souls hadn't realized they were already dead, so they wandered as if they were still alive. This explains why the café and motel suddenly turned empty. They had already crossed into another world. Eventually, Tripp, Nelson, and Cookie came to terms with their deaths at the motel, while Gretchen and Jack were saved in reality thanks to Radford.
20-ish internal.
Grabbed his chest.
The final scene shows Gretchen and Jack returning to their normal lives, deeply grateful to still be alive. And with that, the story ends.